All right, our first Terran player up for MVP. It's going to be Dream as the purple Terran in the top left of Kdaria, and his opponent is going to be SlayerS Koka, the red Zerg, down in the bottom right.
Okay, so Kdaria is the map. We've seen this play out a few times in TVZ. Cross position seems to do pretty well for the Zerg player. They have a lot of room to work with, and they can get in and assault this third base pretty easily because of the wide open nature. It takes quite a stout defense there from a Terran player to lock that down. Now, since this is a rotationally symmetrical map, and it's not locked down for cross spawns only yet, although I think that change is coming, if you would happen to get in a situation where it's close spawns, it's very easy for a Terran player to assault a Zerg main and really third and natural as well. See some tanks up in this area, and you've got a pretty good lockdown on everything they can do.
Yeah, and I actually don't mind rotational symmetry that much, just because it does give the games different looks. I mean, sometimes you'll see maps play out the same way over and over and over. Daybreak, for example, usually is a victim of having very similar games all the time. And having rotational symmetry sometimes can break up that monotony, but we are actually working on getting that cross-only, and right now we have cross-only, so we get to see how that plays out. Anyway, Dream is going to be dropping a barracks down between the natural and third. Where's the second one?
11-11 racks.
There we go, over on the, yeah, right below the natural mineral line there. That's interesting.
Yeah, so 11-11 racks, and he wants to put on pressure very, very quick in this game. We may not be off to a very long games then. We'll find out here as Koka does take a pretty normal expand. Looks like let's see, that come down before the drone. Yeah, so a 16 hatch for him.
All right, wow, no pool yet for Koka, so this could actually be quite dangerous. We'll see how aggressive Dream actually gets with a 2-rack. Sometimes you see him walk over with 4 or 5 Marines and an SCV just to get a bunker down. There's that SCV actually leading ahead of the pack there to do some scouting and see for sure whether Koka has dropped that natural hatchery or not. He's probably going to scout that top right location first. Yes, he is. And the spawning pool is going to have some time to actually start to get up. Of course, if Marines do arrive and the spawning pool just finishes as they get there, then Queens will not be available to help out. Spine crawlers will just be starting, and it can be very, very frantic for the Zerg player in that situation.
Okay, a couple more SCVs being pulled just to make sure that a bunker does go down. It's going to be a while before a scout makes its way out. He will intercept 1 Marine here, though, and we'll see if this drone is able to get by. Yes, pretty good micro from Koka, and he gets out of there, and will have an opportunity. Very nice doubling back to the Xel'Naga Tower, and he sees the SCVs that are pulled.
All right, so Koka knows this is coming now. The spawning pool has completed, so he's not under too much lethal pressure just yet. The hatchery finishes as well. It's going to allow him to have some larvae and, of course, another place to build a queen out of. So he might be actually able to defend this here. SCV is going to go ahead and drop the bunker, but that's a lot of drones pulled off the line already, and only 1 Marine here for Dream to try and shoot all these drones down. I don't think this bunker is going to be successful. No, especially not with the Zerglings now coming from the main. So now the impetus is on Dream to figure out how much he wants to commit to actually doing this. He's already pulled a lot of SCVs to come here.
He's only killed 1 drone so far as well. There are 2 bunkers coming down, but the Spine Crawler is going to finish well before those bunkers get up, and already there's a fair number of Zerglings on the field. Now, of course, those Zerglings represent drones that weren't made, so still economic damage is being done by Dream, but is it enough to justify the amount of resources he's put into this? And boy, is he going to lose quite a few units there.
All right, another SCV getting killed off. I think that may have been the last one. Actually, both bunkers being canceled now completely, so Dream is on the run. He does have a couple of Marines. He is trying to build some SCVs now to try and stabilize, but Koka actually surviving that 11-11 racks with ease is looking in a decent position to move into the mid-game here.
Okay, so taking a look back at Koka's side of things, he now has 18 drones, so he's up on workers to his opponent. His opponent has not started that second command center quite yet, although he is just about saved up for it.
All right, let's get the production tab back up just so we don't miss anything. There we go. And we have MVP actually still losing Marines. He is actually going to try and get these these lings through here just to try and be able to do some scouting, but there are a good number of Marines there preventing that from going on. I don't think he actually got him far enough to really figure anything else out, but this command center is started now at the natural for Dream.
Okay, and as we can see, Koka does have pretty good coverage with his overlords as well, so not much is going to be a secret here. Dream has enough minerals saved up. Yeah, I was just about to say, I wonder if he was going to drop down a 3rd command center, and indeed he is, hiding it a little ways out of the way, but still should be picked up on pretty quickly by a Zerg player, especially if he gets in there with that overlord now. No, actually backing out, but he does see the 2 gas drop for Dream.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to see the gas count, and obviously these are the first refineries being built about 7 minutes into the game, so mineral only build up to this point. Koka, on the other hand, has started mining gas already, harvesting gas, excuse me. And Dream is actually going to return here with 6 Marines. That's kind of interesting, especially knowing that his opponent already has a Spinecrawler up and Queens and Lings. So at a big supply disadvantage, I'm very surprised that Dream would even try to do this.
All right, well, immediately driven back a little bit. He's thinking about trying to get up here, but no, gets in a bad position.
I don't see how he can.
Takes another hit from that Spinecrawler up at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, I got to question that decision. I'm not sure what he was expecting. I mean, he saw the Spinecrawler the first time he was here, and obviously Koka didn't lose too much to be able to have any real effect there. Actually, if that could have been dangerous if Koka did have Lings out on the map somewhere. It could have been very, very difficult for Dream if the Lings started attacking his natural or something like that. So I'm surprised he's still not keeping map vision at that Xel'Naga tower. It's right in the middle of this map. It seems like it'd be very valuable to hold on to that one in this position here. But we do have Zergling speed already begun now for Koka. He is adding on another hatchery, making a 3rd base, and a couple of Evo chambers coming up now.
Yeah, all right, so he's going to have layer tech hitting pretty soon. We'll see what he wants to do with it here in just a bit, but wouldn't be too bad of a decision to go after a pretty typical Mutaling Baneling, but, you know, of course, the style that a lot of Zerg players have been favoring lately, we saw it especially from Hyun as well against Alive, was that very strong mid-game Baneling attack or tier 2 layer tech. So we'll see if Koka wants to go after the little more aggressive strategy or if he wants to sit back and just wait for tier 3 tech and Hive.
I think he's probably satisfied with the defense that he's put on so far. He is getting +1/+1 for melee and armor now. He is attaching all of his bases together with that creep spread. So it looks like he's just taking his time finally getting that lair started. I was wondering if he was going to maybe put up a Roach Warren and just go for a huge Roach attack there for a little bit.
Supply blocked. You needed to build 3 Overlords at the same time. So just to be able to get anything out. He did a nice job of reinvesting back into his upgrades while that was happening, but still, never a pleasant thing. And he's getting out a few defensive Lings just to compensate for that. And
there is that Baneling nest we mentioned earlier. Also back at Dream's neck of the woods, he does have a starport nearly finished. He's going to start rolling out these Hellions and trying to find some soft spots at Koka's 3rd. And then obviously since there are no drones there, he may choose to back off or go toward that natural. But he's already going to get caught by these speed Zerglings and Queens as they try to make their exit. I'm wondering if he's going to try to micro this at all, or will he just end up losing? Oh, wow. 2 more Hellions joining up. 1 Hellion for a couple of Lings there. Not really a huge trade. Doesn't really have much effect at the moment, but the lair is going to be done now for Koka, so we can see where he's headed next.
Okay, well, lair and Baneling nest, as we mentioned, there's the macro hatch, and so far this is looking pretty consistent with what we saw yesterday out of Hyun. If he drops down that Spire here momentarily, we'll be very, very close, and we'll see if he decides to go for that same big mid-game aggression with a lot of Banelings, as we saw out of our TSL Zerg yesterday. But for now, there it is. Spire is actually on the way, and MVP Dream is just continuing to reinvest back into his own infrastructure. Additional barracks coming down, all of his add-ons getting put in place. This game just kind of had about a 2-minute pause timer on it, though, as everything's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes behind.
It seems like Dream just doesn't have a ton of units right now. Obviously, these Hellions tried to get in there and do some work, but were unable to do so. Now we see the bulk of his army, about 15 Marines and a couple of medevacs overhead, headed through the middle of the map. And right now, Koka doesn't have Baneling Speed Finish or Burrow. Working on both of those, but he does have quite a lot of Lings and a few Banelings already created, ready for... Basically, I think he'll be able to hold this as long as his Queens are in a good position to take out those medevacs.
All right, well, dashes in with a few Lings, loses them immediately, and here come the Marines, though, full steaming forward, taking out a good number of creep tumors, just waiting for Koka to try and flank a couple of units here in just a second, but he hasn't made a move to do so quite yet, rather just kind of counterattacking with a few Lings over towards his opponent's 3rd.
Yep, Koka just pretty much A-moving toward his opponent while focusing on things back at home. A few Banelings are taken out, but ooh, some good trades there with the Banelings. Still a lot of Marines standing, though. These Queens are going to try and block it up a little bit so that they don't just move into the natural and slaughter all those drones. Instead, they are going to move over to a 3rd. The counterattack doing quite a good job here, actually taking out a few Marines and perhaps that bunker there as well. But I'm not sure where those Lings are headed. But ooh, actually, Dream actually forced to pick up and move off the side of the map here as those Queens chase those medevacs down.
Okay, well, Koka does have hold of his position once again. He's producing 9 Mutalisks. Are there any on the field? No, these will be the first. So what sort of defenses are prepared? Not a lot. Obviously,
Nothing.
engineering base are in place, but no missile turret coverage at all so far.
You could say that there were no missile turrets at all.
That would absolutely be correct.
And soon there will be no medevac full of Marines. Either it's going to offload or die. So there it goes, offloading and headed back home. But looks like Koka Koka still has decent map control. He's got that Zelnaga tower in the middle. He's got Mutalisk popping out now from his various hatcheries, so he's going to be able to start doing a lot of damage behind the scenes there near those mineral lines. There are turrets actually going up now, and Dream is taking the long way home, perhaps looking for overlords, perhaps looking for lings like these that he can kill off on the march back home. There's a little detachment of speedlings. Oh no, those are the Mutalisks again, headed toward these Marines.
Yeah, but they have to back out. One actually even under unstim Marines for just a second, so one Mutalisk almost died there and has to get away. It looks like he's a little more worried about this drop that it just popped in from Dream over at the main, but that's actually picked up pretty quickly by the Spinecrawler and Queens that were sitting there.
The Mutas and Marines are battling it out again. It looks like this time they do manage to get that medevac kill. Dream taking a little bit too long to get home there, and he's actually down 34 supply now at the moment. Dream actually, no, sorry, Koka taking 2 more bases right now, about to take a 4th and 5th mining base on the map here, but we do have this consistent dropping happening from Dream. I don't know if he's going to be able to defend it. He does just have a handful. Oh no, actually he has way more lings than I first saw.
They're like all popped out at once as well.
Oh, okay, so the Mutalisks are actually going to be able to pick off this medevac as well. Koka doing a good job defending his bases and just macroing up, taking his half of the map.
Takes a Mutalisk in trade, but of course that's not equitable right there for the amount of damage that he's done. So Dream falls back without having done too much damage, but he is starting to rally a pretty good force in the middle of the map and doing a nice job of just kind of sectioning off the space and making sure that it won't easily come under attack by our Zerg player. So he's positioning out in the middle. Bunch of stim Marines there. That's a lot of Banelings morphing in for Koka.
Yep, 29 Banelings morphed at the center of the map. He's got a really good position there. He's actually sending in his Speedlings now to sort of soak some damage perhaps from those siege tanks, but his Banelings are still so far back, I can't imagine, yeah, he's going to back off and wait to get everything sort of gathered up a bit more. He is going to be maxed here in just a moment as he adds on another Queen, some more Lings, and researching Pathogen Glands and Hive at the same time. Not going to spend too much time at that Infestor slash Mutalisk level tier.
All right, well, starting to duck in now. Of course, these Banelings do have speed, so they'll get there pretty quickly. Already a couple of pot shots being taken with a good number of the siege tanks, but the Banelings have survived thus far pretty efficiently. They're not really being target fired out at all, and the Zerg force pretty much just overruns everything. It was still pretty heavy losses for Koka, but he demolishes everything up at the front and takes out the bunker that was defending most of the SCVs at the back. So this is just going to be pure economic damage that's done here if he can continue breaking on through.
Yeah, a lot of Lings and Mutas still survive there, but of course, there are 11 Marines at a time being produced now for Dream. They are eventually going to be able to get all of these Zerg units out of here, but that was a huge trade there for Koka, actually, and he's already killed 21 workers and only lost 2 for himself. So these Marines are really what's keeping Dream in the game now, with actually no Infestors have been built that I've seen yet.
No, he just used that as a way to get up to high tech, and he's waiting for Greater Spire here momentarily. At which point, of course, regardless of whether he's going Ultralisks or he's going up into Broodlords, he will need Infestors to support those.
31 Banelings morphing right now, though, again, near the center of the map as Dream is starting to move out to try and do a little bit of a counterattack. He feels confident with how many units he still has on the field and is going to try and get some damage done, maybe to some hatcheries somewhere. But these 6 Mutas are still standing. There's no turrets here, so he's going to get a couple of free SCV kills. I see some Marines that he's going to need to focus down, but he will have some free time there before the rest get home.
All right, so managed to pick up a couple of units. Oh, but a couple of Mutalisks, 3 Mutalisks actually popping on the way out there. 1 Mutalisk down to just 1 hit point. But, of course, Koka has reassembled a pretty large force in the middle of the map. Not a lot of Banelings to go along with that, but a pretty great amount of Speedlings. They'll be able to just surround everything if they get a good engagement. But looks like Dream wants to pull some units back into siege tank range there.
Yeah, he's got a solid number of siege tanks waiting on that high ground, so Koka may need to find another way in. That's going to be really bad losses for him, I think, if he moves in while those 4 tanks are still siege. He is actually going to try a different route and close in on both sides for the tanks and these Marines. If the Banelings can hit their targets, this is going to be over very quickly. All the tanks are going to go down, and the Banelings actually managed to get all their targets. Look at that. Yeah. Still so many ground units left for Koka. He could continue to move in here. Look at all these medevacs. They almost don't have enough to heal at the moment. If Banelings crash right in here, those medevacs are going to be useless, and everything is going down to these last remaining Banelings and Lings, as well as a ton of SCVs taking fire now.
Yeah, I mean, Koka was just able to purely outproduce his opponent there because he traded all right, but it wasn't the most cost-effective trade. We didn't have bundles to pin anything down, so it was just purely Lings and Banelings. But look how much supply is tied up in Medivacs. Back at home, we see 5 Ultras on the way, along with 3 Infestors. So Koka will have a very, very powerful follow-up to this, but he hasn't outright killed his opponent yet, and Dream still certainly has an opportunity.
There's also 17 more Banelings, so he is actually going to continue producing those. You can see he's very on top of his spending, actually under 500 minerals and gas, whereas Dream has over 1,200 gas waiting now. He just doesn't have the minerals to be able to keep up with his spending, but Koka is doing a good job, and you can see Koka still adding on spines and spores as we go along through this game to be able to defend his various bases. But we do have actually +3/+3 coming along for Koka's melee as well as the Ultras are starting to hit the field.
Okay, well, Dream pulling back. Oh, he unsieged, but he sieges back up again, hopefully in time to take out a few of these Banelings in the middle. There's the Fungal Growth pinning down a lot of units. Ultras just kind of running through to victory. The Planetary Fortress isn't even finished, and there's GG. SlayerS taking game number 1 on the back of Koka there.
Yeah, Koka had some really impressive play. Don't expect much less from him.